Hello, Kenny from Owlbot here, and I just really quickly wanted to talk about the echo chamber. YouTube is an amazing place to learn and grow, but it's best suited for objective things. You know, how do I swap the head gasket on my '04 STI Subaru? How do I bake a Dutch crunch roll? You can learn that here on the tubes. But when it comes to things that are more subjective, art, for instance, filmmaking, things that are choices become truths. And one of those things is using the black promist. If you use a black promist, you're guaranteed to get a cinematic image. TM. And that's simply not the case. It's a good filter, certainly, but everybody seems to use it. And it's been it's one of the reasons why I stopped using it was because everyone had it and you don't stand out that way. But recently, with an interview I was doing with Ellen Curris, ASC, she shot Bamboozled with Spike Lee. She shot Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. She shot her CV is enormous. I was interviewing her for Pretend It's a City, which is Martin Scorsese's sort of docu-series interview series with Fran Lebowitz. Definitely check it out. That's on Netflix. But in that interview, she said this.
Well, for years, people would use, when the promist came out, they would use promist. And I never, ever, ever used promist, ever. Mm. And the reason why was because they take away the appearance of sharpness. Mm. And I would always use ultracons, because ultracons preserve the appearance of sharpness, but they give a little tiny bit of halation to the highlights. But it preserves the appearance of sharpness. The promist it was just fuzzy. It's like fuzzy, and I never liked that. I've always liked soft directional light. So rather than using a silk, which just makes the light go everywhere and it doesn't have any sensibility. It's just like a cloud there. I always liked using grid cloth. Like light grid to me was great because it made it soft, but you can still feel the direction of it.
I bought into the black promist thing, but I remember the first filters I bought were the Digicon. I got a 4x6 Digicon, and then also an Ultracon, which was a screw-on. And the reason I got those is because I was trying to fit the dynamic range of the scene into the 420 8-bit codec of my C100 Mark II. I wasn't worried about halation or a cinematic look. I was doing it for technical reasons. And later in life, I actually came back to using the Ultracon, and then she said that, and all these things started to click for me. And that is that we're doing things compulsively. So someone somewhere said the black promist gives you the cinematic image, and now everyone does it. And here's another quote from Frame and Reference, where I was interviewing Jeffrey Jur, and I asked him, why do people love David Fincher and Roger Deakins so much? Those are like the two biggest names on YouTube. And he said this.
I think about this a lot. I try to figure out what it is and that's appealing about these kind of cinematographers, and Gordon Willis as well, and Conrad Hall. They have a voice. They have a very specific voice. You recognize a Roger Deakins movie when you see it. You recognize a David Fincher movie when you see it. Conrad Hall, and certainly Gordon Willis. Not that they're doing the same thing in every movie, but that there's something about what they do, and even more importantly, what they don't do. And this is where, when I go to Gordon Willis quite a bit, because he will tell that story in one shot, and he won't do the reverse, and he won't do the coverage, and he won't give you a lot of things that you think you might need, because he found the one thing that tells that story simply. And that's amazing. And on a movie set, there's often a lot of fear about getting enough stuff, making sure you have all the pieces. Is it strong enough? And it takes guts, and it takes a great will, a strong will, to overcome that, because the feeling on sets with certain directors, especially, is I need a lot of pieces. I need this and this and this and this other thing. It's like, no, you don't need that. This is telling the story. It's beautiful like this. So takes a great amount of will. And these guys are really, these folks are really, really strong minded about it. So that's something I aspire to. I'm not that I don't have that personality necessarily, but it's a point you arrive at occasionally, and you see that shot was amazing. We don't need anything else. We don't need to go in closer. We don't need to go wider, whatever it is. So I think those are the things. That strong will is, I think, what's appealing to a lot of people, seeing that strong sort of personality behind the photography.
Yeah, it's sort of a confidence in what you're doing, and that's
yes. It's tough because there's a lot at stake. These movies are expensive, there's a lot of people telling you a lot of different things, and you just have to believe in yourself and your vision. It helps to have a really strong director as well. Then you're sort of not alone with these things, and when you have that, that team is incredible.
And so the thing is you're not going to be a sole vision. You're not going to have a singular voice if you're constantly copying what literally everyone else is doing on the popular thing. And so I just wanted to kind of get this message out to you. I know that the title of the video is a little provocative, but how else were you going to fucking click it? It's totally valid, and I encourage people to steal until they learn whatever it is they're trying to learn. But we should definitely not be doing things compulsively. Test things out. Don't take someone's word for anything. If someone says, oh, the Black Promist looks cinematic, put it on your camera, film something, compare it to what you believe to be cinematic, a movie that you like or something, and go, maybe not. I think that thing that Jeffrey said is very important, that the best of us, the best artists are singular voices. They do their own thing. Now, obviously, there's a limited combination of camera, lens, filter, lighting, whatever. It's not that limited, though. And especially the way that you color it in post. Like, that's another huge thing that we didn't have back in the film days. Just kind of the colorist would give it a couple points here and there, and, yellow, red, whatever. But we have so much control over our images, and we're leaving so much to compulsion and following a trend. And I want to do my best to put the message out there to stop doing that. If that means using a camera that no one's ever heard of, or a funky ass lens that no one's using, or diffusion that no one's ever heard of, give that a shot and see if you don't put something up and people go, ooh, wow, what's that? Because everyone wants to steal what looks different, not necessarily what looks good. There's like a sort of general barometer that we all understand for what looks good. But everyone wants to steal different because everything looks the same. So, just wanted to get this kind of message out there from two people that I respect and admire that I interviewed recently. Once again, listen to Frame and Reference. Those are the two most mundane things I could have pulled from those interviews, but I know that people are interested in it, so here we are synthesizing it. But there's so much more information in those interviews, so you can find that here on YouTube, on this channel, or you can find it on your favorite podcast app, Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever. But yeah, so burn your own path for the love of God. I will see you next time.